Hey guys, the reason for the dramatic entry of me walking into frame and sitting down is because I haven't done a video like this, talking to the camera, talking to you guys in over a year. And the last time I did this, it was a completely different language, in a completely different place, country, everything. A lot of things have changed since the last time I did a video like this, talking about a movie or talking about something. And well, basically I'm back. I wanted to come back because there was just so many things I wanted to talk about, and I thought, this was always the best way to talk about and share things. So yeah, I'm back, basically. I won't do a catch-up video as to what has happened in the last more than year and a half since the last time I did this, because I'm pretty sure you guys don't care, and it's not really important. The main thing you guys need to know is that I am in film school. I'm in college. I moved to LA last September, and now I'm here. Which brings us to this video, which is the problem with film school and how to fix it. Now, before I moved to LA, and even before I applied to my own, to the film school that I go to, which by the way I won't mention the name just in case. I'm pretty sure it's all over my social media, but I won't mention it right here in this video specifically. But the biggest thing that I had leading up to applying to a film school or coming to film school was the worry of, is film school going to be good or not, and is the film school that I go to, is it good or not, is it better than this one, is it better than that one, how does it all work? So what I thought is I would have put a video here for you guys explaining how film school really works and how it is and the problems with it. Now again, this is personally my opinion of why the problems that I have with film school so far, and how I think you guys can fix them. And I'm not saying that everybody has these problems. I asked a lot of people, I asked a lot of my friends, a lot of my classmates, friends I have in other film schools. I asked them if this was happening and they said yes. So these are the problems that I think should be talked about, and if you are applying to film school, you should know about these things beforehand. But also I will again say how you can probably fix them. Before coming to film school, you always have the freedom, liberty, time, everything to just grab your camera, grab your friends, and go out and shoot something. It's super fun. It's a great way to work and a great way to practice film before, moving to the big leagues of film school, and that will fulfill your creativity a lot. When you move to film school, that's gonna be gone. The thing that happens when you move to film school is that you're so used to, just being able to grab a camera and go outside and shooting things with your friends, that in film school that doesn't really happen, because first of all, it's college, so you've got extra classes that you have to worry about, and second of all, you have to, set your time by the time that you do projects in film school. Like, if you have your own camera and you're a group of friends, sure, you can go outside, but there's more to it now that you are a legitimate film student and that you have people around you that work with film too. College is completely different, so it does come to a stop, and for some people this isn't a problem, but for others it is. For me, for example, it was really a problem because before coming to film school I felt like I was doing so many things, and then I came to film school and I stopped completely, and I would do one short film every 3 months. When I was back home, I would do at least 5 short films every 3 months, and it was crazy. Now the solution I have for this is, usually why people don't have a problem with it is because they use this time to work on other things. For example, when I found myself in this time restraint of not doing anything, I started working on my second feature film. I started working on my next script, and I've been taking all this time that I have off to perfection it, to write it, to really go into it. So all this time you have when you're not working on a short film, just use it to work on something else. Use it to fulfill your creativity. Watch a lot of movies that you haven't seen yet. Look at your movie bucket list and you go through it and watch them. And again, write a lot. Fulfill your creativity. Go outside, take pictures, go on walks and stuff, so you can fulfill that creative desire that we as artists always need. You think that when you come to film school and they give you equipment to shoot things and edit things, it's going to be all great. It's not. What you have to understand about film school is that there are so many people that have already come before you. and the equipment, well, I don't know how often they change the equipment, but so far of like the 5 or 4 projects that I've done here in film school, all of my equipment have been rusty and old, and they either fail here and there, or they take a long time to work. This is not really the best thing ever, because they do make you pay a lot of money for this equipment. And recently in a shoot, I was in my classmate's shoot, and he had to stop because the SLR cable for the mic broke down, so we couldn't record any audio. Now, he had to do reshoots, but besides this, for the next shoot, we had to buy another SLR cable. Well, we didn't, my classmate did. And, well, what? Like, how do you come to film school and you pay so much money, and then the SLR cable for the mic just breaks down? Like that, it's kind of embarrassing, and it kind of sets you back a lot. And the other thing that I need to talk about on this topic is the editing. Editing in film school is fun. I mean, they will always give you stuff to edit, but the problem is that they make you edit on Avid. Now, I don't know if this is in every film school out there. This is specifically mine. They force us to edit on Avid for the first couple, or like at least first like 3 to 4 projects. You have to edit it on Avid, and it's not that learning Avid, you know, is not fun. Avid, for those of you who don't know, is the #1 editing software that they use in the movie industry. So film school really stresses the fact that you have to use Avid, because you will apparently use it in the future. But the fact that they make you use Avid like that so rough really gets you sometimes, because a lot of people just don't like Avid. And even my teacher has said, my editing teacher said that Avid is trash. And that is really, it comes to a problem when you just can't get behind Avid, and your editing technique and style just gets all lost in between, because you're so used to editing on something else, and they don't allow you to edit on that for whatever reason. And if you're caught editing on something else, let's say Premiere or Final Cut Pro, your grade will be dropped down. Now, the way that you can fix this is, of course, when you check out equipment to shoot a project, you don't necessarily need to use their equipment. I know a lot of people in my class and other classes that use their own camera, their own sound system, and a bunch of different things. And when it comes to the editing, well, there's really nothing we can do about it. You really have to edit on Avid, so I will suggest that you just learn Avid and kind of learn how to love it. But every time, this doesn't mean that for the future, when you go on to be a filmmaker, you have to use Avid. Well, first of all, I don't know a lot of directors that want to be editors, but I mean, editors, they either will fall in love with Avid or not like it. So if you just don't like Avid, just learn it for the time being, but it doesn't mean that you will forever have to use it. Now we're getting into the more serious problems that it's really difficult to actually find a solution for, but believe me, you can get them. When it comes down to teaching and grading and aid in film school, it's really a 50-50% chance whether it's going to be great or it's going to suck. Now, teaching in film school, it's fun because, you know, you get all these teachers that they've either worked in the industry or know somebody that's worked in the industry, or they know, you know, they have contacts and they have a lot of experience, and not only that, they know their stuff. They know film, they know movies, so the classes are fun. It's mostly about talking about movies and how this happened, how they did do that, how was this shot achieved, and that's always fun. The problem is opinions. Now, a quick story for you to understand what I mean by opinions. I am not a fan of Zack Snyder at all. I don't think that he is personally, I don't find him to be a good filmmaker. I think visually, he's got a beautiful eye and he knows what to do with visual effects, but story-wise, the man he just doesn't, I don't think he understands how to make a good story. And while we were in cinematography class, my cinematography teacher showed us a scene from Sucker Punch. Now, a lot of people love Sucker Punch. I don't think it's that good of a movie. The director's cut is better, but personally, it just wasn't my cup of tea. And he showed us this scene where, I'm not going to go into detail about the scene, but basically the scene was all visual, and it was meant to look really cool, but the scene itself had no meaning. My teacher had said for many, many weeks that we should never do something just because it looks good, but we should always do it. If it looks good, at least have a meaning behind it. My teacher was obsessed with this scene from Sucker Punch. And I asked him, what was the purpose of that scene, like why did Zack Snyder choose to do that visually? To which my teacher went on to say nothing, it just looks cool. This will happen a lot when you are just going to disagree with your teachers and they're going to be like, well, he did it because this is the way they do it in the industry, and he did it because it works for him, but it won't work for you. A lot of this will happen. There will come a lot of times where you just won't agree with your teachers because opinions and film, everything is subjective. And this is when it comes to grading your projects. When you do a project and you decide to do something in an artistic way or your own stylistic way, teachers will look at it and they will be like, it doesn't work for me, so I don't think it works as a whole. I'm going to dock you a grade. That seriously happens. The teachers, what they will do is they will look at it and they will understand that you were trying to do something artistic, but if it doesn't work, they'll be like, it doesn't work, so it's done with it. The problem that I have with that is that they can't acknowledge the fact that you were trying to do something different. You were trying to experiment, you know? Unlike other kids that are just abiding by the rules and they're just playing it safe. Well, you were trying to experiment, and of course, sometimes when you experiment, you fail. But, you know, the teachers, they won't recognize that. If it's not done the way they think a movie should be done, or, you know, it's a correct way to do it, you just won't get points. And that kind of sucks. And also, the aid in school is not really the best at times because all these people are so busy, they don't really have the time of their lives for you, and that's okay. Like, you have to respect that space. But you will come to film school and they will promise you that they will be there for you no matter what. I said you so many times in that sentence. You will think that they will be there, but when it comes down to it, when you find yourselves in a lot of trouble, sometimes they really aren't. Sometimes you really will have to just grab everything you have and work alone and fix it yourself. And that's the reality of it. Well, you've got friends around. Alright, this is the biggest problem, this is the biggest issue I have by far with film school. I am totally not okay with this, I don't understand why, but here it is. Film school has a lot of rules. And I don't mean as in, you know, rules of regular college, which is, you know, like, oh, you can't do this to other students. I mean film rules. I mean rules that we have to follow when it comes down to doing our project. Now, the reason I have a huge problem with this is because film school will make you believe that Hollywood or that movies in general, they all live by rules and they all work because they follow a certain structure and rules. Now, this is true. Hollywood itself is a monument that works on movies that are structured all the same way and they never play it out of their comfort zone. So film school will always follow Hollywood's ideals and never follow other type of ideals. And if you are not okay with that, you will not have a good time in film school. The first couple of projects, you won't be able to do any stunts. And it's not because you can't, it's just because they think you're not ready. And believe me, after 1 month or 2 in film school, you will learn so many things, you will be ready to do stunts. You get to know so many people. It's just film school they don't let you do these things. Also, the projects have time restraints. The projects need to be like either from 5 to 10 minutes, and if it's a minute more, you have to cut your movie. If it's 2 minutes more, you can't screen it. The last film that I did was 13 minutes long, and the time restraint was 10 minutes. Now, a lot of people say, you know that the rules, they can only be 10 minutes. Believe me, when you're writing a script sometimes, and you really get into the story, you just go with it. You just go with it and you will pass those 10 minutes because that's what artists do. They just go with the story, they fall in love with it, and they go. And I fell in love with the script that I was writing and I went to 13 minutes. My teacher said that I could not screen it unless I cut it down. I had to take 4 minutes out of the movie so I could screen it. And the movie that will be screened at my school is a disaster. Like, it does not work at all because of the things that I had to take out. Luckily, I got to keep my own director's cut, which will be on YouTube. But there are rules. Like I said, there are rules, and this is one of the rules that, you know, it has to be this amount of minutes, it has to be this amount of time, it has to be done this way, it has to be done with this camera, it has to be done in this place. And if you dare to defy these rules, you will get in trouble. Not only will you get in trouble, but they will look at you as a rebel or something, and you will have to talk to the dean. You will have to talk to so many teachers, face all these things. And not only that, there's also, you're going to have classmates that are going to look at you and be like, why don't you just follow the rules? These are people that, you know, they're good at following rules, I guess, and maybe you just aren't. So don't feel offended if your classmates look at you and be like, why don't you just follow rules? you know, it's not that easy. There are a lot of people that don't like to follow rules when it comes to film. And the biggest problem that I have with this is because, in my opinion, film doesn't have any rules. Which leads me to my final saying of things. When you come to film school, we tend to make a lot of mistakes. We tend to always try to follow our favorite filmmaker. We tend to always think that we can do the same thing they did. We can work the same way they did. And that is wrong. Going back to the rules things, films don't have rules to them. Maybe they have structures to them, and maybe the screenwriter and director did something a certain way for the film to work better, but that doesn't mean they had rules. Studios will give you rules sometimes, like time restraint. That is the thing that studios do. Justice League was supposed to be almost 3 hours long, and we all know it ended up being like 1 hour and 50 minutes. I wonder why that movie didn't work. But in general, there are no rules that films follow. The creators of film, they never followed any rules. They just created movies. The directors today, you know, Ridley Scott didn't follow any rules when he created Blade Runner. Orson Welles didn't follow any rules when he created Citizen Kane. The exact opposite. All these great films were created because of freedom, because of liberty, and because nobody was restraining him, telling him what they couldn't do. And even if people were telling him what they couldn't do, they still went ahead and did it, but they did even more. So my advice for you is, know these rules. Everything that I just said is important and will come down to your study time here. But it doesn't mean you have to follow them. And this is clearly something that if my film school catches me, I'm probably going to be dead. But don't follow the rules. Because we as filmmakers, we don't follow rules, and we don't need to follow the rules. Rules will just destroy your creativity. And I kid you not, all of my friends here, most of all of my friends, are so annoyed at these rules. And I even had one of my friends a couple days ago tell me, because of film school right now, my creativity and my inspiration has gone down so much. And that is the thing, that happens. Your creativity and inspiration will go down a lot, but that doesn't mean you have to stop. Do not give up, because your favorite filmmaker didn't, so you don't give up either. And going back to your favorite filmmaker, don't worry to what film school he went to or she went to. What film school did this person go, or who came out of this film school? Don't worry about that. Don't ever worry about that. Don't even look at it. I can give you a list of 10 amazing directors that did not go to film school and 10 terrible directors that did go to film school. Don't look at those things. Don't look at charts. Don't follow your favorite filmmaker, because he didn't follow anyone. He created his own path. You can use your favorite filmmaker as an inspiration, but you don't need to follow them. You have to create your own path when you come to film school. And that's the reality of it. When you come to film school, create your own path. Create your own rules. Create your own art. And believe me, it's gonna work out perfectly.